Chapter 71 Zhu Gang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This little fat guy named Zhu Gang doesn't seem to be embarrassed at all. He followed directly behind Xiao Fan, riding a horse-headed monster and chasing after him with all his strength. Xiao Fan was speechless. He was even considering not to rob the little fat man. After all, he looked very rich, but just thinking about it, he gave up his idea. After all, the other party had no grievances against him, so it was unethical to do so. At this time, Xiao Fan was already halfway away from the Supreme Immortal Sect, and he estimated that he would be able to reach the Supreme Immortal Sect's sphere of influence in a few days. He used to travel on his own. Although he was extremely fast in an instant, when he was traveling on his own ability, he always adjusted his ability to a moderate speed to maintain his physical strength. At this time, with the Golden Retriever Lion, the traveling time was greatly shortened. Little fat Zhu Gang followed closely behind, keeping a distance of less than 10 meters from Xiao Fan. Suddenly Xiao Fan frowned and patted the golden lion under its butt, signaling it to stop. Seeing Xiao Fan stop, Zhu Gang behind him also stopped hurriedly and asked, "Brother, what's wrong?" Xiao Fan ignored him, but looked behind him and said coldly, "Come out, aren't you tired from following me all the way?" Whoosh 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 whoosh. Suddenly, 4 people appeared in front of the 2 of them, blocking the way forward. They all looked at Xiao Fan and Xiao Fan with ferocious expressions. "Huh, boy, I'm very alert, and I was discovered by you." The big man at the head of the group spoke, and the aura he exuded showed that he was at the 7th level of the Qi transformation realm. The auras revealed by the remaining 3 people all reached the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. "Brother, let's kill this kid together. This lion mount looks good." "Haha. Boy, originally this matter had nothing to do with you. We just wanted to kill this little fat man, but since you have discovered it, we can only send you on the road with him, just to be a companion." The big man at the head sneered. Each of the 4 people had their own magic weapon appearing in their hands, surrounding Xiao Fan and the other 2. The little fat Zhu Gang took 2 steps back slightly. "Are you sent by my stepmother?" "Huh, not too stupid." The leader sneered. Xiao Fan turned around and glanced at Zhu Gang, then looked at the 4 people in front of him, sighed and said, "Are you sure you won't let me go?" "Boy, where did all this nonsense come from?" "Go to hell." One of them was the first to take action. He was at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. He aimed the long knife in his hand at Xiao Fan's neck and slashed it. The aura fluctuations on Xiao Fan's body are the same as his, and they are the existences of the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. They specialize in this kind of killing and looting business. Each of them has blood on their hands and has extremely rich combat experience. It's not that they are stronger than others at the same level, but that they are ruthless and poisonous enough. In the blink of an eye, the long knife reached an inch in front of Xiao Fan. Just when the man thought he had succeeded, he could see Xiao Fan's blood splattering on the spot. Xiao Fan moved and dodged the knife. The big man attacking with a knife shrank his pupils. He didn't see Xiao Fan's actions clearly just now, however. The next moment, his expression was completely dull. Just look at Xiao Fan and kick him in the abdomen, making him unable to escape. In an instant, he flew backwards for dozens of meters, vomiting blood. "What, 4th child? Damn it, brothers, come on." Although the remaining 3 people were surprised by the ruthless attack of the young man in front of them, they did not hesitate. They each picked up their magic weapons and rushed forward. Among them, the first big man was at the 7th level of Qi transformation realm. He rushed the fastest and was close in the blink of an eye. Xiao Fan patted the storage bag and a spear appeared in his hand, coiling dragon spear. The 3 of them joined forces to attack. Although their level was similar to Xiao Fan's, their strength was not at the same level as Xiao Fan's. Only the big man named the 7th level of Shouhua Qi realm can barely support it. Puff. Puff. In less than half a moment, Xiao Fan successively killed 2 big men at the 6th level of the Qi transformation realm. At this time, only the leader of the 7th level of the Qi transformation realm was left to barely support himself. "Damn it," the big man named the leader cursed in a low voice. Who would have thought that a monk at the 6th level of the Qi transformation realm would be so cruel? Knowing he was outmatched, he turned around and ran. However, Xiao Fan did not let go of the spear in his hand. and finally fell into a pool of blood. After killing this man, Xiao Fan used the coiling dragon spear in his hand as a spear to throw at the man he had kicked away before. Being stabbed by the coiling dragon spear, the man died immediately. For people, no one survived. The little fat Zhu Gang on the side was dumbfounded. He originally thought he was finished, and all he could think about was how to survive. He never dreamed that this person could be so ruthless. He killed 3 people at the 6th level of the Qi Transformation Realm and 1 at the 7th level of the Qi Transformation Realm in an instant, and the cultivation level exuded from the other party is only at the 6th level of Qi Transformation Realm. The golden-haired lion on the side had an expressionless face. Xiao Fan, the evil star, had killed such monks several times. Xiao Fan collected the storage bags of several people and glanced back at Zhu Gang. You should know that you are in danger, so you follow me, right? Is it to divert trouble to others, or something? That this little fat man was very strange from the beginning. When he saw the golden retriever lion, he chased him and kept grumbling all the way, but after what happened just now, Xiao Fan thought this man was very smart. At least he's not as honest as he looks. When Zhu Gang's intention was revealed, he coughed dryly and said with a smile, "Brother, since you have found out, I will tell the truth." This Zhu Gang was originally the legitimate son of a large family. The family was very powerful, at least much larger than the Long family. His father was a cultivator in the Xiandan realm, and his mother died more than 10 years ago. The father found a stepmother and then gave birth to a son. His father's attitude towards him changed, and all his love was concentrated on his younger brother. His stepmother even made things difficult for him, trying to get rid of him. It is usually inconvenient to do something within the family, so I took this opportunity to send someone to assassinate. Zhu Gang had encountered a danger before, but the person who took action was not very skilled, so Zhu Gang avoided it. After escaping to Huaiyang City, the little fat man was at the gate of the city. He saw that the lion Xiao Fan was riding was not simple, and the way Xiao Fan was dressed did not look like a local. Moreover, Xiao Fan was still so young, so he guessed that Xiao Fan must be going to Zhoutian Sect to become a disciple. So he found a reason to pester Xiao Fan. "Brother, I didn't know they would send such a master. I'm just following you to make them fearful and not dare to take action easily." Zhu Gang's fat face was trembling. He spoke. "Explanation, brother, I really didn't mean to involve you." What he said was true. The person who attacked him before was only at the 5th level of Qi Transformation Realm. Who would have thought that 3 people at the 6th level of the Qi Transformation Realm and 1 at the 7th level of the Qi Transformation Realm would appear this time? If Xiao Fan hadn't been so powerful, they would have ended up here. As if he saw his own shadow in the other party, Xiao Fan thought for a moment and then said, "You happen to be on the way, then you can follow me." Chapter 72 Entering the Extreme Immortal Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing this, Zhu Gang was overjoyed. He did not expect that Xiao Fan would agree to take him forward together. "Brother, you are such a good person." Zhu Gang gave Xiao Fan a thumbs up with a happy face, and Xiao Fan started chattering next to him. At least he didn't have to be afraid at the 7th level of Qi Transformation Realm. "Brother, what's your name?" "Xiao Fan." "What a great name. With your talent, brother, you must be charming to many women." "Xiao Fan." He pulled out the coiling dragon spear, mounted the golden lion, and ran towards the east. Zhu Gang followed behind, flattering Xiao Fan eloquently. Finally, under Xiao Fan's vicious threat to shut up, Zhu Gang finally calmed down a little. The sphere of influence of the Supreme Immortal Sect is very broad. With the sect as the center, the sphere of influence of the Supreme Immortal Sect is hundreds of miles around. Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang had been traveling for 3 days and arrived at a city called Huaiyang City. "Brother, Huaiyang City is the territory of Zhoutian Sect. Once you enter here, you will be under the jurisdiction of Zhoutian Sect." Looking at the tall city in front of him, Xiao Fan nodded but did not speak. Zhu Gang smiled and said, "Brother, let's go. I'll treat you to dinner. Thank you for taking care of me along the way." Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang entered Huaiyang City. After getting along the way, the relationship between the two became much better. I also know a lot more about this Zhu Gang. His life experience is very similar to mine, but his life in the Xiao family is just a little easier than mine. Entering Huaiyang City, the surrounding scene immediately made Xiao Fan take a breath of air. Although most cities would have monks walking around on monster beasts on weekdays, compared to Huaiyang City, that was nothing compared to that of Huaiyang City. Monster mounts are extremely expensive, especially mounts that look good and have fast legs, and along the way, not only were people riding monster beasts everywhere, but many monks were also seen flying in midair. This proves that the other party at least has the cultivation level of Tongtian realm. This Zhoutian sect is really extraordinary. Xiao Fan muttered to himself, this is just the first peripheral city that has entered the power of the Supreme Immortal Sect, but it has such a scale. What will the real Supreme Immortal Sect be like? Zhu Gang heard Xiao Fan talking to himself on the side, and he answered with a smile, that's right, Zhoutian sect is one of the top sects in Huaiyang State, and it has a certain say in Huaiyang State, and it is said that. Having said this, Zhu Gang approached Xiao Fan and whispered in his ear, I heard that Huaiyang Prefecture is actually in the hands of these major sects, and Huaiyang Dynasty is actually just a puppet. Hearing Zhu Gang's words, Xiao Fan's expression changed. He looked sideways, how do you know? These are just what I overheard my father chatting with other friends. I don't know whether they are true or not. Xiao Fan nodded. If this news is true, then Huaiyangzu is much more complicated than he imagined. There are many foreign monks who have recently entered Huaiyang City. These are all here to participate in the entry selection of Zhoutian sect, so the guards of Huaiyang City probably only let them go after confirming their identities. Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang found a restaurant. The prices of the dishes here were many times more expensive than those in other cities. Even Zhu Gang bared his teeth after seeing the price of vegetables. However, the food tastes really good, and there is also a lot of rare spirit animal meat, which is helpful for one's own cultivation. The two of them left after a good meal. They were still 100 miles away from the Supreme Immortal Sect and planned to arrive at the Supreme Immortal Sect today. After running all the way again, Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang arrived at the outer gate of Zhoutian Sect before evening. The outer gate of the G Immortal Sect is very spectacular. You can't see the inside clearly from the outside. It seems to be blocked by a formation. The gate is more than 100 feet high and towers into the clouds. It is as powerful as a rainbow and reveals its supreme domineering power. It has the words G Immortal written high on it. The three characters zone reveal an otherworldly feeling, however, the others were different from what Xiao Fan had imagined. They were not as heavily guarded as he imagined. There were only a dozen disciples wearing blue robes from the Supreme Immortal Sect guarding the outer entrance. Seeing Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang arriving, the two people walked over. Judging from the aura on their bodies, their cultivation level was probably around the 7th level of the Qi transformation realm. Are you here to participate in this year's selection of outer disciples? One of the gatekeepers asked. Zhu Gang nodded repeatedly, cupped his hands with a sneer on his face. Yes, the two senior brothers are polite, both of us are. My name is Zhu Gang, and his name is Xiao Fan. Well, follow me. The disciple nodded, glanced at Zhu Gang, then glanced at Xiao Fan, then turned around and led the way forward. Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang made a simple registration at the door, reported their names, and then followed the blue-robed disciple who just spoke into the gate of Zhoutian Sect. When passing through the Baizhang gate, Xiao Fan felt as if he had passed through a curtain of light, as if the inside and the outside were two different worlds. And the moment he entered the door, several rays of spiritual consciousness swept over him, checking his whole body up and down several times within a few breaths. After passing through the light curtain and entering the interior of Zhoutian Sect, Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang both took a breath. The scene inside is completely different from the scene outside. From the outside, the inside looks like a blurry forest. After entering the gate, there were many blue-robed disciples walking around, each busy with their own business. Everything was majestic, with marble floors under their feet, and the surrounding buildings were several times taller and more magnificent than the outside world. Are you surprised? This is the first time I see him. I think I was the same at the beginning. The blue-robed disciple who led the way smiled and said, My name is Shan, you can call me Senior Brother Shan. Xiao Fan nodded but did not speak. The little fat man Zhu Gang said with a flattering smile, it turns out to be senior brother Shan. He is really talented. After that, the little fat man took out a storage bag from his arms and secretly handed it to Shan. Senior brother Shan, we are new here. From now on in the Immortal sect, please ask senior brother Shan to take care of you. Senior brother Shan looked at Zhu Gang with a smile, and then gently bumped the storage bag with his hand. After finding out that there were 100 spiritual stones in it, he was immediately happy. It's easy to say, we are all our own, the two junior brothers and I come. Then it's senior brother Lao Shan. Zhu Gang said with a smile. Xiao Fan looked speechless behind him. Is this okay? But he didn't say anything, and followed Shan away with Zhu Gang. After walking for about half an hour, they arrived at an area specially responsible for receiving disciples participating in the entry selection. There are more than 10 single-family courtyards standing side by side, and there is also an attic that can accommodate thousands of people. Don't say that senior brother doesn't take care of you. You two should go to the number 9 courtyard to rest first. But whether you can stay there forever depends on you. Shan smiled and said, there are still 10 days left for the selection of outer disciples. During this period, someone will come to deliver meals at noon every day. Don't run around if you have nothing to do. After saying that, Shan left, whispered a few words to the deacon in charge of the affairs here, and handed him a storage bag. The deacon nodded with satisfaction and glanced at Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang with a smile. Zhu Gang smiled flatteringly and said to Xiao Fan, let's go, brother, let's go to the number 9 courtyard. Xiao Fan nodded and asked curiously, is there any difference between these small courtyards and that attic? Everyone who participates in the selection of Zhoutian Sect's outer disciples has to wait here. However, there are only a dozen or so small courtyards in this area where people can rest alone. The other disciples have to rest in the attic. The environment there is dirty and messy. Worse. Thousands of people are crowded together in one place, and their spiritual power is not enough. There is no comparison with this small courtyard. After hearing this, Xiao Fan also understood the benefits of this small courtyard. The denser the natural spiritual power in cultivating, the better. However, if a group of people uses a dense treasure land, it is like a group of people sharing a piece of cake. This is all common sense, and Xiao Fan naturally understands it, and according to what Zhu Gang said, there are only a dozen rooms in this small courtyard, and the rest of the people have to squeeze into the attic. But what did he mean by whether he could hold it just now? Xiao Fan was curious. Because these more than 10 small courtyards are for the elites who participate in the selection of outer disciples, and whether they can hold on to them depends on their own strength and background. At this moment, Xiao Fan had to admire this little fat guy. He was so well prepared and knew everything. Chapter 73 Huaiyang City Li Dong robs the courtyard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Entering the small courtyard number 9, there is an incongruous simplicity inside, with a yard of 20 square meters and a small room of 30 square meters, with 2 wooden beds, a wooden table and a few stools. Seeing this scene, Xiao Fan asked, how many spirit stones did you just give? $100. Zhu Gang also sighed, and the smiling expression just now disappeared. Xiao Fan patted his shoulder and went to a wooden bed to lie down and rest. During this period of time, I have been on the road. Even if I went to the inn to rest in a hurry, I never had a good rest. As soon as noon arrives, dozens of Zhoutian Sect disciples in gray robes will come to deliver food in this area, and a separate portion will be delivered to these gray-robed disciples in the small courtyard where they live. The food tastes quite good, and it is all kinds of spiritual animal meat, which is very good for you after eating it. 3 days passed in a flash. Xiao Fan has not been out much and has always practiced in the small courtyard. This place is rich in spiritual power. Although it is not as fast as absorbing spiritual stones in the star diagram, it is not bad. He has not entered the star Do 2 to practice in the past few days. First, because this place is the Zhoutian sect. He is afraid that he will be easily noticed by others after entering and discover the secrets of the star Do Tuesday. After all, there are many masters here. He plans to be safe later. The second reason is that he is not in a hurry to break through in his cultivation, but is instead polishing himself. Xiao Fan's current cultivation is at the late 6th level. Every time he reaches the critical point of reaching the 6th level of perfection, he will be forcibly compressed back. Then slowly gather spiritual power to practice, although his cultivation seems to be at the late stage of the 6th level of Qi transformation realm, his strength is somewhat stronger than before after being compressed in this way. This method is not a secret. It can be said that all monks know it, but few people do it. First, it is extremely difficult to break through in one's own cultivation. It is difficult for anyone to resist this temptation. The second reason is that this method is only suitable for people with natural talents. If ordinary people refine and compress it like this, they will probably be regarded as fools, but Zhu Gang is different. These days, he always runs out whenever he has nothing to do, and while inquiring about some information, he also gets to know a lot of people. Based on their interactions over the past few days, Xiao Fan found that Zhu Gang was very tactful. He also knew how to behave in the world, and he became friends with many people in just 3 days. There have been more and more people participating in the outer sect selection in this area in the past few days, and it is almost reaching 1,000 people. Now, it is estimated that there will definitely be more people participating on the day of the selection. In this regard, the value of this small courtyard that Zhu Gang spent 100 spiritual stones in exchange for was fully reflected. I don't know how many times better than the attic. 2 more days have passed. Xiao Fan was practicing cross-legged in the small courtyard as usual. Zhu Gang came back in the evening with a smile on his face. "Brother, you are working too hard. I don't see you taking a break." Zhu Gang held a spiritual fruit in his hand, took a bite and said, "If I could work as hard as you, I would probably be almost as powerful as you." Xiao Fan slowly opened his eyes from closing them and glanced at Zhu Gang. "Who gave you such confidence? Brother, do you just look down on me so much? Let me tell you, I am 20 years old this year, and my cultivation level is at the 5th level of Qi transformation realm, and I really haven't practiced seriously in the past few years." The little fat man was a little bit not convinced. Xiao Fan nodded and said seriously, "I am 19 years old." Zhu Gang was stunned at this time. Xiao Fan was actually 1 year younger than him. "I have cultivated to the late stage of the 6th level of Qi transformation realm." Zhu Gang was stunned again and was about to speak. "I was only in the physical training state 3 months ago." The first 2 points left Zhu Gang speechless, but the last one, which was still in the body forging realm 3 months ago, surprised Zhu Gang. "Brother, are you kidding me? 3 months ago, you were in the body forging realm? Then you are now at the 6th level of the Qi transformation realm. Even if you had reached the perfect body forging realm 3 months ago, it would still be impossible." Zhu Gang obviously didn't believe what Xiao Fan said. He reached the 6th level of Qi transformation realm from the body forging realm in just 3 months. Are you kidding? Apart from those peerless monsters, how could there be such people? Xiao Fan touched his chin, and then said, "It is true that I was not in the great perfection realm 3 months ago." Zhu Gang breathed a sigh of relief. He thought Xiao Fan must be joking with him. Seeing Zhu Gang's expression, Xiao Fan also decided not to reveal that he was only at the 2nd level of the body training realm 3 months ago. It's a bit hurtful to one's self-esteem after all, and Zhu Gang might not believe it if he told it. At this time, there was a sudden knock on the door of the small courtyard, interrupting the conversation between the 2 people in the house. "Who is it?" Zhu Gang was stunned and hurriedly ran to open the door. During this period, except for someone delivering food at noon, no one knocked on the door at all other times. "You are." After opening the door, Zhu Gang saw 5 young people outside. Standing in the middle was the man dressed in gorgeous clothes. Everyone in the group seemed to be vaguely respected by him. "We are from the Li family in Huaiyang, and this is our 3rd son Li Dong." The young man who spoke looked proud and continued to speak. "Our 3rd young master has taken a fancy to this small courtyard of yours, so he treated it as a friend and let us live in the courtyard. Later, he joined the Zhoutian sect. When he met, please tell us the name of our 3rd young master." The young man named Li Dong was the leader. He looked arrogant and just glanced at Zhu Gang from beginning to end without speaking. Huaiyang City is a famous large-scale city in Wuhuang Prefecture, and its Li family is also a famous big family. Zhu Gang's face suddenly darkened. Although he was a smooth man, he couldn't stand being bullied like this. What's more, he doesn't live in this small courtyard alone. Xiao Fan is also there. When he spent 100 spiritual stones to bribe Shan to come to this number 9 courtyard, a large part of it was actually to express his gratitude to Xiao Fan. If the other party hadn't taken action, he would probably have died on the way here. Sorry, several of you. Zhu Gang took a breath and said with a fake smile on his face, I live in this small courtyard with a friend. This friend is currently in retreat. So, I would like to trouble you to go look elsewhere. Well, I'll apologize to you first. After saying that, Zhu Gang bowed his hand. Hearing this, Li Dong, the third young master of the Li family, frowned and his face suddenly darkened. The 4 people around also had ugly expressions, and someone immediately said angrily, Boy, I think you don't know whether to live or die. It's your blessing that my third son fell in love with this other courtyard. How dare you not know what's good or bad? I don't care whether you go into seclusion or not. We are attracted by this small courtyard. Don't force us to do it. Zhu Gang's face was ugly. Just as he was about to say something, there was a sound coming from the small courtyard. If you want to die, you can try it. Chapter 74, Suppressing the Evil Slave. Li Dong takes action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Fan could clearly hear the noise outside just now. The other people were clearly here to cause trouble, and when they saw Zhu Gang being bullied into such a state, he walked out directly. Xiao Fan's words were so arrogant that the faces of several Li family members outside turned gloomy for a moment, and so did Li Dong. Boy, who are you? How dare you talk to us like this? Damn it, boy, I have to kill you today. Boy, I think you are tired of living. Several young people cursed and tried to push the door open one by one, but Li Dong did not stop them. You can't come in. Zhu Gang was still standing at the door at this time, but he was very aware of Xiao Fan's strength, but it was a new arrival, and the other party was from the Li family in Huaiyang, so he didn't want to cause trouble. Damn fat man, get out of here. 4 young men rushed forward. 3 of them were at the 6th level of Qi Transformation Realm, and the remaining one was at the 5th level of Qi Transformation Realm. Zhu Gang, however, was only at the 5th level of the Qi Transformation Realm. He was kicked by one of them. He took 5 or 6 steps back, with blood spilling from his mouth and his face turned pale. Court death. When Xiao Fan saw this, his eyes were cold, his aura erupted, and his cultivation level at the 6th level of Qi Transformation Realm was also displayed. Li Dong behind him showed a hint of surprise in his eyes when he saw it. To participate in the selection of disciples from the outer sect of Zhoutian Sect, the assessment is divided into age, cultivation, and strength, all of which are extremely important assessment items. The younger you are, the higher your cultivation level, and the stronger your strength, the higher your evaluation will be. The Xiao Fan in front of him was only around 20 years old, but he actually had the 6th level of Qi Transformation Realm, which proved that his talent was really good. However, Li Dong was only slightly surprised. He was only at the 6th level of the Qi Transformation Realm, and he was a master of the 7th level of the Qi Transformation Realm. In other words, the people who come to participate in the selection of Zhoutian Sect are all geniuses from all walks of life. The 4 of them rushed into the small courtyard in the blink of an eye and were instantly surrounded by Xiao Fan. Go to hell. One of them took the lead and formed a terrifying fist with his hands, attacking Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan didn't move at all. When the man came closer in the blink of an eye, he tilted his body slightly and avoided the punch very nimbly. The man was stunned when he punched. He didn't expect that the opponent would be so flexible and dodged his attack. However, just when he was still wondering how the other party got out of the way, he felt a huge force hit his abdomen, and his body involuntarily flew backwards into the air, coughing up blood. This instant action caused several people around him to be stunned. One move. Xiao Fan just defeated a monk at the 6th level of Qi Transformation Realm with just one move. Even Li Dong was shocked by Xiao Fan's attack. He struck quickly, without any unnecessary movement, and his attack was vicious. Damn it, let's go together. that the three people around looked at each other and rushed forward together. Everyone can see that Xiao Fan is not a good person, so they must attack together. The three of them joined forces. 2 were at the 6th level of the Qi transformation realm, and 1 was at the 5th level of the Qi transformation realm. If it were other 6th level Qi transformation monks, they might be a little panicked, but this was not visible at all on Xiao Fan's face. The three of them rushed to the front in an instant, and their attack was like lightning. However, no one took out their magical weapons. After all, this was the Ji Immortal Sect. If things got serious, they would definitely be punished by the sect. Li Dong sneered at the corner of his mouth. Boy, you have offended my Li family. I don't know how many lives you have enough. Xiao Fan's attack just now was amazing, but there was also an element of carelessness on the part of the young man. Xiao Fan was only at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm, facing so many people with the same level. He didn't think Xiao Fan had any chance of winning, but then, his face became increasingly ugly. Puff puff. Xiao Fan took action and beat each of the servants he brought until they vomited blood and fell to the ground, but there was not even the slightest injury on the other party. Trash, a bunch of trash. Li Dong shouted and looked at the 4 people lying on the ground, his expressions extremely angry. These people are all young geniuses carefully selected for him by the Li family, and they are specially sent to this Jixin sect as servants. This kind of thing is very common in large families. However, he could not have imagined that the so-called elite selected by these families would be so vulnerable. He was knocked down in an instant by a 6th level Qi transformation realm. Third young master, we. The people lying on the ground wanted to explain, but were coldly interrupted by Li Dong's voice. Waste is waste, no matter what you say, it's useless. Then Li Dong looked at Xiao Fan, who was also looking at him. Zhu Gang was kicked, but the injury was not serious, and the man didn't use his full strength. He hurriedly walked to Xiao Fan's side. Brother, are you okay? Xiao Fan glanced at him, as if asking, do you think something is wrong with me? Zhu Gang laughed dryly and stopped talking. There is a lot of noise about the fight here, and it has attracted many people around. These people are all participating in the selection of outer disciples. There's a fight over at number 9 courtyard. I'll go, I'll be so cruel. This man seems to be Li Dong. I have seen him, the 3rd son of Huaiyang City. Those people on the ground, I will kill them, they are all from the Li family. Someone around him recognized Li Dong's identity and the identities of several people lying on the ground, and they were immediately shocked. More and more people were watching. In a blink of an eye, the entrance to the courtyard was full of people, and everyone was rushing forward. Li Dong's face became more and more ugly. He felt like this group of people were just laughing at him. In fact, this is indeed the case. Just look at Li Dong's jokes. Boy, I think you are quite capable. I will give you a chance to follow me in the future. Forget about today's matter. Otherwise, I will personally take action and break your legs to make amends. Li Dong looked at Xiao Fan and spoke coldly. He never thought that he would not be able to defeat the opponent. In his opinion, the opponent's cultivation level was a small level lower than his, and it was impossible for him to be his opponent. Even at the 7th level of Qi transformation realm, Li Dong's strength is among the top. Xiao Fan looked at him like an idiot and said calmly, if you want to lie down on the ground like them, then stop being so nagging and just come over. After hearing Xiao Fan's words, the people around them started to make noise again. Too domineering. Opposite is the Huaiyang Li family. How dare you respond so domineeringly? For a moment everyone became curious about Xiao Fan's identity. Some good-looking female cultivators looked at Xiao Fan with admiration, thinking that this is what a man should look like. Boy, you are looking for death. Li Dong was angry. He didn't expect that the other party would be so disrespectful. His whole body's aura surged, and his 7th level cultivation in the Qi transformation realm caused the ground around him to shake. Chapter 75 Human Sandbags beat up Li Dong. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. The aura exuded by Li Dong had the fluctuations of the late 7th level of the Qi transformation realm, causing the onlookers around him to take a few steps back, afraid of being hurt by the aftermath of the fight later. and many people looked at Xiao Fan with sympathetic eyes, and they could feel that this young man's cultivation was only at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. There is a small realm difference between the two, and Li Dong is the 3rd son of the Li family in Huaiyang, and the skills he has practiced since childhood must be extremely powerful. This man is in danger. Many people have this idea in mind. Zhu Gang also looked worried, but when he saw Xiao Fan's calm look, he shrank back, thinking that he was worried in vain. He knew very well what kind of evil star Xiao Fan was, and it was not like he had never killed someone at the 7th level of Qi transformation realm. Boy, I'll give you one last chance. Kneel down and admit your mistake to me, otherwise. Li Dong wanted to make a serious threat, but was coldly interrupted by Xiao Fan. Are you deaf? What I just said was not clear enough. Do you need me to repeat it again? You wanna die? At this moment, Li Dong rushed forward without any hesitation. His body was as fast as lightning, and strong winds formed wherever he passed. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Xiao Fan, and slapped Xiao Fan on the head with his right hand. Xiao Fan didn't move at all, just like he had done with the previous people. When Li Dong got close, his figure suddenly flashed. He was even faster than Li Dong, and his left hand easily blocked Li Dong's palm, causing the latter's pupils to shrink, because Xiao Fan resisted his palm with such strength that he was unable to move forward at all. At this moment he knew he was in trouble. Li Dong gritted his teeth and without any hesitation, he raised his foot and kicked Xiao Fan in the chest. This kick hit Lao Gao, and Xiao Fan's eyes flashed coldly, and he took a step back to avoid the kick. Li Dong did not retreat but instead advanced, turning his palm into a knife and slashing at Xiao Fan's neck. His moves were extremely cruel, aiming at Xiao Fan's vital points everywhere. Suddenly at this moment, Xiao Fan's aura surged. Although he was still at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm, the aura he exuded was 3 points stronger than Li Dong's. What state is this kid in? Isn't he the 6th level of Qi transformation realm? Why is his aura more terrifying than Li Dong's? My mother, who is this young man who lives with Zhu Gang? Seeing Xiao Fan's aura soaring, people around him started talking, including many of Zhu Gang's recent friends. Li Dong was also shocked. The opponent's realm was obviously lower than his own, but the aura fluctuations emitted exceeded his own. Doesn't this mean that the other party is stronger than him? Go to hell, Li Dong yelled. Is he weaker than others? How can you accept it? His knife was less than 3 inches away from Xiao Fan. As long as this knife struck down, Li Dong believed that the opponent would be seriously injured even if he did not die. However, Xiao Fan moved and instead of dodging, he suddenly stretched out his right hand and grabbed the arm that Li Dong was attacking. For an instant, Li Dong's arm remained motionless. He felt as if he was bitten by a wild beast and was unable to break free. A bad premonition came to my mind. You. Li Dong just wanted to say something, but he saw a bright smile on Xiao Fan's lips opposite him. He felt that his body was suddenly turned upside down. Xiao Fan grabbed Li Dong's arm with his right hand and slammed him to the ground like a sandbag. Boom! A loud noise echoed all around. Li Dong was hit by this blow, and his whole body was suddenly in a state of disarray. However, before he could react, his whole person was turned upside down again. Boom! It was smashed into the ground again. Not only was the whole person embedded in it, but the marble floor tiles were also smashed into a half-meter deep pit. Boom! 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 In less than 10 breaths, Xiao Fan dragged Li Dong's arm forcefully and smashed it back and forth more than 20 times. There were many gasps from people around. Their faces were full of shock. No one has ever seen this kind of attack method of beating a living person, and the other party's cultivation level was obviously higher than his, but he was subdued so easily. Is Li Dong weak? The 3rd son of the Li family in Huaiyang is at the 7th level of the Qi transformation realm. It's strange that he is weak. It just proves that Xiao Fan is too strong. I've learned a lot today. This man is quite ruthless. Li Dong won't be thrown to death by him. It feels like Li Dong is completely motionless. This man is an evil star. I will never offend him even if I beat him to death. This Li Dong is really embarrassed today. Xiao Fan didn't go out this time, but he had already completely beaten his name. The 4 followers following Li Dong were all dumbfounded. Their third young master was actually being thrown around like a sandbag, and he didn't even have the slightest strength to resist. This is a shame. Zhu Gang had such an expression. He also looked at Li Dong, who was thrown into a state of disgrace, with some sympathy. He really wanted to tell Li Dong, "I'm stopping you because I'm afraid you'll die. Why are you so disobedient? Don't fall. If you fall again, you will fall to death." One of Li Dong's followers said bravely, and several others also tried to persuade him. "Sir, don't fall. We were wrong, please show mercy." The Li family members are all scared at this time. It's no good if they don't give up. The person opposite is so cruel, he is simply an evil star. There was no politeness in his attack, he was extremely ruthless. They were really afraid that Li Dong would be thrown to death. However, Xiao Fan just glanced at them coldly, minding his own business without any intention of listening. It's so easy to fall to death at the 7th level of the Qi transformation realm. Under everyone's shocked eyes, Zhu Gang spoke. "Brother, forget it, let's go around him. After all, this is the Ji Immortal Sect, don't kill anyone." Li Dong's words were very measured. When begging for mercy, he didn't forget to set Xiao Fan's character. Hearing Li Dong's words, the people around him were even more shocked. This Xiao Fan really dares to kill people. After Xiao Fan heard this, he glanced at Zhu Gang, nodded, and threw Li Dong out with a flick. Boom! Li Dong fell heavily to the ground again, and he was unconscious. He had countless broken ribs all over his body. 3 breaths, get out. Xiao Fan said coldly, then turned back and glanced at the melon-eating crowd gathered at the entrance of the small courtyard. These people trembled when Xiao Fan looked at them, but Xiao Fan didn't say anything, but turned around and entered the hut. The people watching at the door breathed a sigh of relief and consciously made way for the 4 people who were carrying Li Dong to retreat. "Everyone, the yard here is a bit messy, so I won't invite you in for a drink." Zhu Gang clasped his fists at the people at the door with a smile on his face. These people naturally understood what Zhu Gang meant, and each of them responded very politely, and in the blink of an eye they were gone. Chapter 76 Shan Yanghui. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A conflict over the ownership of the courtyard ended. It ended with Xiao Fan easily defeating Li Dong, and all the young disciples who watched the whole process have already labeled Xiao Fan as an evil star, for no other reason than because he was too cruel. Zhu Gang closed the door, took a look at the ruined courtyard and sighed. It is impossible to expect Xiao Fan to clean up that, only he took care of it himself. Above the small courtyard, there were 2 figures floating in the air, but no one found any trace of them. TSK, TSK, TSK. This kid is so ruthless, he doesn't hold back at all. An old man with a white head said in amazement. Another middle-aged man with a majestic look also responded, "This kid is ruthless, but his strength is also good." The 6th level of the Qi transformation realm can easily defeat the 7th level of the Qi transformation realm. At least he has reached the 8th level of Qi transformation realm. Indeed, he is a good candidate. It seems that this selection of outer disciples is a bit interesting. Okay, let's go, we've finished watching the fun. After that, the 2 people disappeared, and no one nearby noticed them at all. These 2 people have very high status in the outer sect of Zhoutian Sect, and they have a higher evaluation of Xiao Fan, but if they knew that Xiao Fan had killed a Dzogchen monk in the Qi transformation realm, they didn't know what their expressions would be like. On the other side, Li Dong was beaten half to death by Xiao Fan, and his bones were broken in many places. He was fed a lot of pills by his followers before he slowly showed signs of waking up. "Third young master, don't worry." Third young master. Seeing Li Dong regaining consciousness, the followers around him spoke hurriedly. It's not that they have a good relationship with Li Dong, but they won't survive if something happens to Li Dong. Li Dong slowly opened his eyes, feeling the injuries on his body. His eyes were blood red. Damn. Where is that person? That he fainted after being thrown by Xiao Fan a few times, and he had no idea what happened next. People around him told what happened after he fell into coma. When he heard that he was finally carried out, Li Dong was so angry that he vomited a large mouthful of blood. This time everyone else was completely lost. Damn it, I want him dead, I have to kill him. Li Dong has never suffered such great humiliation in his life. Third young master, do you want to inform the second young master and ask him to help you take revenge? A servant on the side asked. Li Dong's eyes flashed with a trace of cruelty, but he slowly shook his head and said, there is no need to inform my second brother. He is now an inner disciple of Zhoutian Sect, and it is inconvenient to come in and out. But to deal with such a waste, there is no need to find him. Li Dong's second brother Li Qishui is an inner disciple of Zhoutian Sect. His cultivation level is extremely high and he has already reached the Tongtian realm. These truly big families will arrange their direct descendants into various major sects, which is very useful in stabilizing their family status. What should we do, third young master? This boy is not simple. Although he is only at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm, his strength is terrifying. The servant spoke with an ugly expression on his face. Li Dong pondered for a while, and a ruthless look flashed in his eyes. Shan Yanghui is here too. I will go to him tomorrow morning and promise him some benefits to help me. This time I don't believe that this kid is still alive. After hearing this, the 4 servants were all shocked. Instead, they looked gloating, thinking that Xiao Fan was dead. Shan Yanghui is a member of the Shan family, the first family in Ruin City. He has amazing talents since he was a child. He has reached the 8th level of the Qi transformation realm at the age of less than 20. He also has amazing combat power and can challenge higher levels. The Li family and the Shan family have known each other for many years, and the two families often compare Li Dong and Shan Yanghui. Every time Li Dong would choose Shan Yanghui, which made him very unconvinced. This time both of them chose Zhoutian Sect. They were originally rivals, but in order to take revenge on Xiao Fan, Li Dong didn't care so much. The next day, early morning, after taking many pills and adjusting his breath. Overnight, Li Dong was able to walk on his own. After leading 4 servants to the second of more than 10 small courtyards, the Li family servants slowly knocked on the courtyard door. After a while, the courtyard door was opened. Master Li. The person who opened the door was a servant who had followed Shan Yanghui. He had been in the Shan family since he was a child, so he recognized Li Dong at a glance. Li Dong nodded expressionlessly, but there were still many scars on his face, and it was obvious at a glance that he was injured. Is Shan Yanghui inside? The servant of the Shan family nodded and said, yes, Mr. Li, please wait, I will notify you right away. After saying that, the servant hurriedly ran back. Within a moment, footsteps were heard from inside. Ha! Li Dong, why are you here? I heard that you were beaten half to death yesterday. I wanted to visit you, but I didn't expect you to come first. Before anyone reached the door, Shan Yanghui's voice came out. Hearing this, the Li family looked extremely gloomy. This matter is a shame. After a while, Shan Yanghui walked out, tall and handsome, wearing a black robe. Just kidding, brother Li, don't mind. With a smile on his face, Shan Yanghui asked, I wonder why brother Li came to see me. If there is no place to live, then move here. Anyway, there is an empty bed in the house. Li Dong was so angry when he heard this, because they are competitors, they often ridicule each other. I'm here to talk to you about something. Li Dong said coldly, don't you plan to let me go in and talk? Shan Yanghui covered his head and said with a smile, I forgot about it, come in quickly. Li Dong led 4 people into Shan Yanghui's courtyard. Shan Yanghui only asked the Shan family to arrange for 1 attendant this time, and this person went to make tea very quickly. I wonder why brother Li is looking for me. Shan Yanghui picked up a cup of tea, took a sip and said with a smile, is brother Li planning to ask me to avenge you? That boy's cultivation is not weak. Li Dong's face had not looked good since he came in, and he glanced at Shan Yanghui. If he is weak, I will come to you, and you don't have to speak so sarcastically. I come to you just to ask you to help me teach him a lesson. Li Dong said coldly, as a reward for taking action, I will give you a golden tempered fruit. Really? Upon hearing Li Dong's words, Shan Yanghui's eyes suddenly lit up. the expressions of the four people who followed Li Dong all changed drastically. Golden tempered fruit is a rare treasure of heaven and earth. The Li family has had a golden tempered spirit tree for generations, which can produce this golden tempered fruit every 10 years, its value is very expensive. If you are in the Tongtian realm and take it, it can be of great benefit to the physical body and can make the foundation more solid. Seeing that Li Dong didn't speak, Shan Yanghui laughed. Haha, brother Li is so heroic. Don't worry, I will definitely avenge this revenge for you. Shan Yanghui had wanted to get this golden tempered fruit for a long time, but he didn't expect that Li Dong would be willing to take it out in exchange for him. In fact, Li Dong's own heart was bleeding, and he only had one golden quenching fruit, but in order to save face, Xiao Fan was killed. He is willing to do it even if it costs more. Chapter 77 The 8th Level Genius of Qi Transformation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Li Dong and Shan Yanghui negotiated the remuneration, the group of people left the small courtyard. Li Dong led the way and took Shan Yanghui to find Xiao Fan to cause trouble. Li Dong looked ferocious, and he also told Shan Yanghui, you don't have to show mercy later. If you don't dare to kill him, just leave it to me. Indiscriminate killing is a serious crime in Zhoutian Sect, but Li Dong believes that with his second brother's status as an inner sect disciple and the fact that he is a member of the Li family, this punishment will be kept to a minimum, and the Zhoutian Sect will not bite him for the sake of a dead person who has not yet joined the sect. A series of knocks on the door came in, waking up Zhu Gang who was sleeping soundly. Xiao Fan beside him was still meditating with his eyes closed, showing no intention of getting up. Zhu Gang sighed. Without even thinking about it, it was probably Li Dong who was looking for trouble. He told Xiao Fan last night that Li Dong would definitely not give in. However, Xiao Fan looked very calm and didn't take Li Dong seriously at all. I always have a bad feeling. Zhu Gang muttered as he walked. Judging from his experience, Li Dong must have found a helper. Thinking of this, Zhu Gang trembled. His stomach was still hurting from the kick he received yesterday. He subconsciously looked back and saw that Xiao Fan had no intention of getting up. In the end, he could only sigh and go to open the door. The moment the door opens, sure enough, as Zhu just guessed, Li Dong was standing outside the door, and besides the 4 people from yesterday, there were 2 more people beside him. This is what you are doing. Zhu Gang had a fake smile on his face. He could naturally tell that the other party was looking for trouble. Where's that kid yesterday? Tell him to come out and die. Li Dong shouted violently, but he did not attack Zhu Gang directly. Yesterday Li Dong said that in the end it was Xiao Fan who Zhu Gang helped to persuade him to leave, otherwise he would have to be thrown for a while longer. This. Zhu Gang wanted to say something, but the other party didn't give him a chance. Stop talking nonsense and get out of here. Li Dong and others pushed Zhu Gang away and rushed in. Behind them, Shan Yanghui smiled faintly and followed. Zhu Gang wanted to stop him, but unfortunately he was powerless. Xiao Fan in the room has slowly opened his eyes. Will Li Dong be willing to do it? Certainly not. After all the dandies who are disciples of such aristocratic families have this habit. Xiao Fan walked out of the house. In addition to the 5 Li Dongs who still had injuries on their faces, there were 2 more men. One of them was wearing a black robe and had an elegant demeanor. You don't need to think about it to know that this person must be the one Li Dong came to avenge him. Boy, you figured it out. Li Dong bared his teeth, his face full of anger. How? Xiao Fan looked at him with a dull look and said calmly, the beating you received yesterday was not enough, and your skin is itchy again today. After hearing Xiao Fan's words, Li Dong's eyes turned red. Damn it, boy, you know I'm from the Li family, but you dare to do this to me. I'm afraid you don't even know how to write the word death. Shan Yanghui watched the scene in front of him with interest. He helped Li Dong just for the sake of Jin Kegua. If he elaborated, he also wanted to thank Xiao Fan, otherwise he wouldn't have had the chance. Shan Yanghui, I'll leave this person to you. Li Dong really wanted to do it himself, but he couldn't beat Xiao Fan at all. Shan Yanghui nodded and took a step forward with a smile on his face. I am Shan Yanghui, and I am here to help Li Dong destroy you. Shan Yanghui smiled lightly, with a smile on his face. This scene surprised everyone around him. Even Xiao Fan is like this. Are you the helper hired by this loser? Xiao Fan pointed at Li Dong and asked casually. Seeing that Xiao Fan didn't even call him by his name, Li Dong was furious. Shan Yanghui, hurry up and kill him for me, just save your breath, I will kill him myself. Shan Yanghui sighed, yes, it's him. Although you have no grudge against me, he has given me enough benefits, so, you have to die. After saying that, Shan Yanghui's momentum suddenly increased, and a strong wind formed with him as the center, shaking the surroundings violently, not to mention Xiao Fan, even Zhu Gang felt the pressure from this man. Shan Yanghui's cultivation is at the 8th level of the Qi transformation realm, but his combat power is comparable to the 9th level of the Qi transformation realm. He is also one of the popular figures participating in the selection of outer disciples this time. Oops. When Zhu Gang heard Li Dong call this person's name Shan Yanghui, and the terrifying coercion emanating from him, he immediately remembered who it was. He hurriedly ran to Xiao Fan and whispered in his ear, Xiao Fan, this guy is not simple. It is said that Shan Yanghui is the second strongest among the disciples selected by the outer sect this time, the 8th level of the Qi transformation realm, and he is also able to leapfrog the challenge. When Xiao Fan heard this, he nodded without speaking. Zhu Gang was worried. After all, Xiao Fan had never killed anyone at the 9th level of Qi transformation realm in front of him, but seeing Xiao Fan's expression made him feel a little more at ease. Xiao Fan took a step forward, and the aura around his body also increased. He was at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm, but the pressure he exuded was terrifying. There are 2 small realms between the two, and Shan Yanghui is still a genius who can leapfrog challenges. His strength is at the 9th level of Qi transformation realm. It was equivalent to Xiao Fan fighting against someone at the 9th level of Qi transformation realm. However, there is no fear at all on Xiao Fan's face. If you look closely, you can see a hint of excitement in his eyes. Shan Yanghui also frowned. The other party's cultivation was obviously only at the 6th level of the Qi transformation realm, but the aura that the other party exuded was far from comparable to the 6th level. It's interesting. Shan Yanghui also felt fighting spirit. Boy, I'll give you 3 moves, let's get started. This is what you said. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Fan's figure appeared in front of Shan Yanghui like a ghost. He made fists with his left and right hands and attacked Shan Yanghui fiercely. So fast. Shan Yanghui was a little surprised by Xiao Fan's speed, but he was not a vegetarian. Facing the rain of fists, he would fight back in the same way. Fists collided, and both sides gave up their defense. The 2 sides exchanged more than 10 moves in the blink of an eye, with no winner or loser. Boom. Boom. The noise of the fight here was very loud, because yesterday's incident happened first, so a group of people suddenly came around the small courtyard to watch the fun. Is this Shan Yanghui? Let me go, that fierce man actually got into a fight with Shan Yanghui yesterday. It seems that he wants to avenge Li Dong, but who is more powerful among these two? This ruthless man's name is Xiao Fan. He's so fierce. He can actually fight Shan Yanghui. Shan Yanghui is definitely a popular figure in this selection of outer disciples, and almost everyone knows it. However, Xiao Fan hasn't gone out since arriving here, so he just doesn't understand these things. Chapter 78: The Trash That Eats Soft Food. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Fan struck hard and showed no mercy. The same goes for Shan Yanghui. Although his realm is higher than Xiao Fan, his attacks have never been able to cause any substantial harm to Xiao Fan. It seems that you are quite capable of beating Li Dong like that. Shan Yanghui stepped back and spoke slowly. Xiao Fan's expression was always calm and normal, but at the same time, he was also surprised inside. Although the 2 of them seemed to be evenly matched in the previous fight, he had already used all his strength, and the only 2 remaining weapons left were the throat lock and Liuha slash. This shows that the opponent Shan Yanghui's strength is by no means ordinary. Only weaker than the head of the Su family, just participating in the external selection. There is such a strong person, and the other person is about the same age as myself. Boy, you are very good at forcing me to use my full strength. Xiao Fan frowned upon hearing this. Ah! Suddenly, Shan Yanghui's aura suddenly increased. His eyes were red, veins appeared on his forehead, and the surrounding air became distorted. It has even reached the same level of strength as the head of the Su family. At this moment, Xiao Fan did not dare to be careless at all. He took a deep breath and used the 9 transformation techniques of Qi transformation to the extreme. The crowd watching the excitement were all shocked. They were looking at the fighting inside the courtyard entrance, which was relatively far away. Feeling Shan Yanghui's momentum at this time, he instinctively wanted to take a few steps back for fear of being implicated. "Boy, you can force me to use all my strength, you should be proud." Shan Yanghui's eyes were cold and stern, and his whole body was like a beam of light before he came to Xiao Fan in the blink of an eye. So fast, that Xiao Fan was startled. When he reacted, Shan Yanghui's fist was already in front of him. He hurriedly stretched out his arms in defense. The fist and arm touched, and Xiao Fan moved 2 steps back. The opponent's strength was at least 30% stronger than before. At this time, Xiao Fan had no time to be surprised. Shan Yanghui kicked Xiao Fan in the abdomen again. Head-on confrontation is not a good thing at this time, so Xiao Fan moved his body to avoid this kick. Shan Yanghui now had the upper hand and completely overpowered Xiao Fan to fight, and Xiao Fan could only barely defend. This battle was much more intense than the one between Xiao Fan and Li Dong. The surrounding ground and walls were smashed to pieces, and the two people wanted to tear down the small courtyard. "It's over, it's over." Zhu Gang looked desperate. "It was all in vain last night. You must know that all the buildings in Zhoutian Sect are much stronger than the outside world. Even this small courtyard is the same. The materials used are extremely strong, however, it was still heavily damaged by the battle between the two. Boom. 2 walls around the courtyard have been destroyed, and even the gate has collapsed. However, whether intentionally or not, Xiao Fan always avoided the hut and did not get close, so the hut was still intact. Without the obstruction of surrounding walls and doors, it is more convenient for people watching the excitement outside. Damn, it's too fierce. This Shan Yanghui is at the 8th level of Qi transformation realm, right? Why does it feel as strong as the great perfection of Qi transformation realm? No, Xiao Fan seems to be at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. He can still persist. Surprised voices abounded. Zhu Gang, Li Dong and others had already retreated from the small courtyard. Li Dong's face was full of ferocious expressions. "Work harder and kill this kid quickly." The wall of number 9 courtyard was torn down, and the space for the two to fight was naturally much wider. Shan Yanghui's strength was superior to Xiao Fan's. He was not afraid of confronting the opponent head-on and began to attack the opponent one after another. "Boy, can you just run away?" Shan Yanghui spoke fiercely, already showing real fire. He, a genius from the Shan family, was in a stalemate with his opponent even though his cultivation level was 2 small realms higher than his opponent. This was a shame. Xiao Fan did not speak. At this point in the battle between the two sides, he had to give the opponent a fatal blow at the critical moment, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to win. Even the fighting between the two people has spread to other surrounding courtyards. Immediately afterwards, the wall of the small courtyard number 8 was also destroyed by Xiao Fan and Shan Yanghui's fight. There is also a talented person living in the number 8 courtyard. However, they didn't even dare to take a breath when their own courtyard wall was destroyed. The two people fighting against each other were too cruel. At least he was sure that he was no match. At this time, the sound of fighting had attracted the attention of the steward and deacon. Seeing that the number 9 courtyard was destroyed, and even the battle between the two had spread to the number 8 courtyard, his face suddenly darkened. "Stop." The aura of a powerful man in the Tongtian realm burst out, and a strong wind formed between Xiao Fan and Shan Yanghui to separate the two. Each of them took more than 10 steps back before they could barely stabilize themselves. The steward and deacon walked angrily between the two of them and asked with a gloomy face, "Did you destroy this place?" Neither Xiao Fan nor Shan Yanghui spoke. "But this already represents the default." Okay, you haven't even become a disciple of the extreme Immortal sect, yet you dare to attack the sect privately. You are so courageous." The deacon in charge of the outer sect was very angry. Xiao Fan had seen this man before. It was the deacon who took Shan's storage bag away and looked at him with a smile when he brought him and Zhu Gang in. Do you know that fighting and destroying buildings in Zhoutian Sect without permission will result in the loss of one hand? The steward said coldly. Shan Yanghui hurriedly said, Sir, I am from the Shan family of Huaiyang City. Please be lenient. Shan Yanghui from the Shan family, it turns out to be you. The steward obviously knew the Shan family and had heard of Shan Yanghui. That's right, sir, brother Shan is mainly here to help me. I am from the Huaiyang Li family. Li Dong also came up and explained. Shan Yanghui was here to help him, so he had to stand up at this time. After hearing about the Shan family and the Li family, the steward's expression towards the two of them was obviously relaxed. Then he turned his head to look at Xiao Fan, and said calmly, What's your name, and who are you from? Xiao Fan. I am from the Long family in Zhoutian City. Xiao Fan finally gave this answer. Zhoutian City. The steward murmured. He had never heard of this city, and then asked, Long family? How can you be from the Long family if your name is Xiao Fan? Not only was he curious, but everyone around was curious. Xiao Fan's face was ugly, but he still said, I married into the Long family. Married into the family? Son-in-law. In an instant, many thoughts came to the minds of the people around. Are you a son-in-law? The steward looked weird. Li Dong laughed out loud, ha ha ha. So you are a useless person who eats gigolo. Shan Yanghui also looked weird. Zhu Gang was also stunned, obviously he didn't expect it. Others around laughed loudly. Chapter 79 Break Your Arms. You are listening at novelfull.audio. None of these people at the scene could have imagined that Shan Yanghui had just fought a ruthless man with no outcome, turns out to be a door-to-door son-in-law. Hearing the laughter of the people around him, Xiao Fan's expression also lit up. He turned his head and looked coldly, and the people who had laughed loudly shut their mouths immediately. They almost forgot that this was a ruthless person in front of them, the man who beat Li Dong half to death. Even if he is a son-in-law, they are not someone they can mess with, but just because they don't smile doesn't mean Li Dong will shut up. Boy, I didn't expect you to be a live-in son-in-law. If you don't take good care of your wife at home, why are you here? That the four people behind Li Dong also wanted to speak together, but after seeing Xiao Fan's eyes, they all became honest. Li Dong dared to laugh, but they didn't dare. The steward deacon sneered and said, It turns out that you are a son-in-law who comes to the house, and those who eat soft food deserve to be punished. Cut off one of your arms to teach you a lesson. Be careful in the future in Zhoutian Sect. He heard that Xiao Fan was his adopted son-in-law, and in his mind, Zhoutian City was an inconspicuous small city, therefore, he would not be polite to Xiao Fan at all. After hearing this, Xiao Fan's face became even more gloomy, and he said in a deep voice, Why only punish me? The two of them are looking for trouble, shouldn't they be punished? Boy, are you questioning me? The voice of the steward and deacon suddenly became louder. A ball of anger arose in Xiao Fan's heart, and he was about to explode, but Zhu Gang walked up beside him. Sir, please calm down. I am from the Zhu family in Pingwan City. Please consider that my brother is ignorant and forgive him this time. Zhu Gang smiled flatteringly, then took out a storage bag from his arms and stuffed it into the arms of the steward and deacon. Ping Wanqing's Zhu family, no wonder you, the little fat man, are so smooth. The steward looked at Zhu Gang with a smile, and then squinted at Xiao Fan. You are your first offender, and the punishment is to break your arm. It's a bit serious, so I'll give you a light punishment and give you 100 whips as a warning to others. Zhu Gang secretly breathed a sigh of relief and just kept giving him a hand. Wait, however, at this time, Li Dong's voice came out, and then he whispered in the deacon's ear, Sir, I have a mortal feud with Xiao Fan, and I hope you can punish him severely. My second brother is an inner disciple. Li Qishui, I hope you can help me with this little favor for my brother's sake. After saying that, Li Dong took out a storage bag from his arms and handed it to the steward and deacon with a distressed look on his face. Li Qishui is very famous in Zhoutian Sect, and he is also an outstanding person among the inner disciples. The cultivation level is the same as that of this steward and deacon, who is in the heaven-reaching realm. The steward and deacon checked the storage bag given by Li Dong. Even he was a little shocked. There were 1,000 spiritual stones in it. This is a large amount of money. Zhu Gang only gave 200 yuan just now. Don't worry, they are all family members. The steward and deacon nodded to Li Dong with a smile on his face, then he turned around and immediately changed his face, threw back the storage bag Zhu Gang had just given, and said seriously, Zhu Gang, who do you think this deacon is? How dare you openly bribe me? I think you are for the first time, let's forget it. I'll punish you severely next time. At this time, the deacon in charge had forgotten what he had just said, and acted like a businessman. Zhu Gang was stunned. He glanced at Li Dong with a bright smile and immediately understood the reason. Xiao Fan naturally saw all this, and he must have received benefits from Li Dong without even thinking about it. Damn! Xiao Fan cursed secretly in his heart. He remained calm, but silently activated the 9 changes of transformation chi. If this deacon really wanted to take action against him, even if you know you are defeated by him, you still have to resist. The deacon looked at Xiao Fan and said coldly, Xiao Fan, wantonly caused trouble, destroyed the sect's buildings, contradicted the teacher, and broke his arms. He will be executed immediately. His voice was loud and could be heard clearly by everyone around him. The faces of these young people who gathered to participate in the selection also changed. Although they didn't see what happened, they could guess that Li Dong and others must have gone to find trouble first. In the end, it was Xiao Fan who was going to be punished. But no one spoke up. Who would offend an outside deacon because of a stranger? Sir, please have mercy, that's not what you said just now. Zhu Gang panicked and hurriedly spoke to defend Xiao Fan. However, the deacon didn't even look at him. Li Dong's face was filled with a proud smile. He looked at Xiao Fan and seemed to be saying to him, look, what can you do even if you are strong? Shan Yanghui didn't speak, and whatever happened next had nothing to do with him. He just looked at Xiao Fan with some pity. He obviously had good talent, but he didn't have a good background, so he was destined to be a mermaid. Xiao Fan's eyes were cold and stern, and he didn't speak. He was ready to fight to the death. Xiao Fan, why don't you come here and accept your punishment? The steward said coldly. He took a step forward and a wave of coercion enveloped Xiao Fan. However, at this time, a middle-aged man's mighty voice came from midair. This is Xiao Fan's first offense. I will give you a warning and let the matter rest. That it was a plain sentence without any verbosity. Everyone present was stunned. They all looked into the sky, but saw nothing. However, the steward's expression suddenly changed, and he quickly said, I obey. There was no reaction in the air, and the voice did not appear again. Li Dong and Shan Yanghui were also stunned, but after hearing that Xiao Fan was fine, Li Dong's expression became ferocious. Master Steward, you have clearly announced the punishment for Xiao Fan just now, how can you change it? Li Dong did not notice the expression of the steward just now, and his head was full of anger. Shut up, the steward shouted hurriedly, and his shout made Li Dong regain some sobriety. The other party could send a message without showing up, and the steward was so afraid. The other party was at least a master of the Xiandan realm. Let's stop this matter, Xiao Fan is not guilty. The steward left this sentence and hurriedly turned around and left. He was unwilling to stay for a moment. Xiao Fan was stunned, he was fine now. Zhu Gang did not react either, but it was good that Xiao Fan was fine. The crowd dispersed, and many people were whispering about who the person who had just spoken was. However, no one could guess, but one thing was certain, that the other party must be a big shot from the outer sect of the Zhoutian sect. Damn! Li Dong looked at Xiao Fan fiercely, then turned and left. Shan Yanghui looked a little strange, he looked at Xiao Fan deeply, and also turned and left. Brother, are you okay? I was scared to death just now. Zhu Gang patted his chest and panted. It's okay, let's go. Xiao Fan spoke, although he was confused in his heart why the person who had just spoken helped him. However, since the other party did not show up, he did not need to rush and must know the other party's identity. Just remember this favor. Chapter 80 Breakthrough shocked everyone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Courtyard number 9 has been completely destroyed, but the cabin is still there. Xiao Fan entered the hut, leaving Zhu Gang alone outside to clean up with a gloomy face, but fortunately, many disciples of Zhoutian Sect in grey robes came soon to help clean up. These disciples, Xiao Fan and Zhu Gang, were the lowest servant disciples of the Supreme Immortal Sect. Because they failed in the selection and were unwilling to leave the Supreme Immortal Sect, they stayed as handymen, hoping to become an outer disciple one day. Those wearing blue robes are the inner disciples, just like Shan, who guards the outer gate, and their status is higher than that of the grey-robed disciples. Inside the hut, Xiao Fan sat cross-legged with a gloomy face. This Zhoutian sect is not happy even if it comes to life. We must improve our strength as soon as possible. After entering the extreme immortal sect, Xiao Fan never entered the star map because he was afraid that the secret of the treasure in his hand would be leaked. However, after experiencing the duel with Shan Yanghui, he knew that his strength was insufficient, and not to mention all this, if someone like the outer deacon came to look for trouble, he would be invincible with his current strength. It has been suppressed to the extreme, and it is time to break through. Xiao Fan murmured and closed his eyes. Recently, he has been suppressing his cultivation and allowing it to be polished at the late stage of the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. As long as he wants to, he can break through to the 6th level of Qi transformation at any time, and even reach the 7th level of Qi transformation. Half an hour later, the 6th major perfection in the realm of transformation. However, Xiao Fan's own momentum has not stopped, and is still rising step by step. The benefits of continuous polishing before have been reflected, and the battle with Shan Yanghui just now has been of great benefit to himself. His spiritual consciousness entered the star map and took a lot of elixirs. An hour later. Boom boom. A loud noise came from the number 9 courtyard, causing the surrounding earth to shake. One after another, air waves exploded outwards with the number 9 courtyard as the center. How is this going? Can Zhoutian sect also experience earthquakes? No, it seems like the noise was caused by someone breaking through. The sound came from courtyard number 9. Let's go take a look. Zhu Gang, who was nearby, felt the strongest. He was just cleaning up the small courtyard with several grey-robed disciples, but a sudden huge wave nearly knocked him away. He barely stood firm, and then retreated several hundred meters with several grey-robed disciples. There are more and more people watching. Li Dong is here, Shan Yanghui is here, and there are many geniuses, all geniuses from various families. In this shock, even the deacon who had just opened his mouth to cut off Xiao Fan's arms rushed over. Is this guy making a breakthrough? Why is he so powerful? Oh my god, the news of the Zhoutian breakthrough in the Qi transformation realm is not as big as his. This Xiao Fan seemed to be at the 6th level of the Qi transformation realm just now. He broke through after a fight. Among the onlookers, Li Dong had the ugliest expression. Damn. Li Dong kept cursing in his heart, but he didn't expect Xiao Fan to break through at this time. The louder the movement when breaking through, the stronger the strength is proved, but now, the noise caused by it has already caught up with the sound of breakthrough. When the Qi transformation realm reaches perfection, in mid-air, 2 figures floated in the void, still the white-haired old man and the middle-aged man. This middle-aged man with a mighty appearance was the one who spoke for Xiao Fan. This little guy is not simple. He has only broken through to the 7th level of the Qi transformation realm, and he can make such a big fuss. The old man in white robe said with a smile, but there was a flash of light in his eyes. The middle-aged man on the side also said, it's not that simple. When you transform into the 6th level of Qi, your strength has already reached the level of the 9th level. Wait until you reach the 7th level. Such a genius has not appeared in Zhoutian sect for a long time. The white-haired old man smiled. The stronger the challenge, the stronger the talent. These 2 people naturally see things more clearly than anyone else. Xiao Fan can now leapfrog the challenge. He can fight at the 9th level at the 6th level of Qi transformation realm. When he reaches the 7th level of Qi transformation realm, won't he be able to fight at the great perfection of Qi transformation realm? If he reaches the 8th level of Qi transformation, doesn't it mean that there is no opponent in the Qi transformation territory? This is a talent that only true monsters have. Boom boom. Another huge wave came from the number 8 courtyard. and then the vibrations on the ground and the rolling air waves all dissipated, as if they had never come. Xiao Fan in the hut slowly opened his eyes, his gaze was extremely deep, and his aura was stronger than before. The 7th level of Qi Transformation Realm is indeed extraordinary. If I fight Shan Yanghui now, I won't be beaten. Xiao Fan's face flashed with joy. In fact, it was easy to break through to the 7th level of the Qi Transformation Realm. He could even reach the middle of the 7th level. However, he still gave up. He had to work steadily and build a solid foundation before he could go further. What's even more fortunate is that Xiao Fan can be sure that he has entered the star map, and no one around him can sense the existence of the star map. The commotion he made just now was so big that it must have attracted many big shots from the outer sect. At least the person who spoke for him must have come, but since there is nothing unusual, it means nothing is wrong. The star map is his biggest secret. If it is revealed, he will definitely die. Xiao Fan believed that even the master of the extreme immortal sect would want to get this kind of treasure. When the soul enters the star map, it seems that although there is no spiritual consciousness in the physical body, outsiders cannot detect it. Xiao Fan murmured in his heart that after activating the star diagram, he had mastered how to use it. However, all the functions of the star map have not been fully activated. In other words, his strength is simply not enough, and he can only master it after he becomes stronger and breaks more stars in the future. Xiao Fan slowly stood up and walked out of the hut. Thousands of people had gathered outside at this time. He was stunned for a moment. Although he thought it would be loud, he never thought it would attract so many people. Everyone, I'm sorry, the breakthrough seemed to be too loud just now. Xiao Fan cupped his hands and looked a little embarrassed. However, the people around him didn't think so. The movement just now was so loud that it surprised them. Look, I'd say he really made a breakthrough. Is there that kind of movement after breaking through to the 7th level of Qi Transformation Realm? No way. Is he really a son-in-law? Why don't I believe that someone with such talent can become a son-in-law? Su, keep your voice down, don't let this evil star hear you. Discussions abounded, but they all dispersed after a short time. After all, the breakthrough was over, and there was nothing interesting to see. Li Dong's face was filled with unwillingness. He had no choice but to think of other ways to take revenge. Shan Yanghui's face was heavy. Xiao Fan had strong strength before, and his breakthrough must be even stronger now. After taking a look at Li Dong's leaving figure, Shan Yanghui followed him. Although the matter was not accomplished, it's not too much to take some benefits, right?